Hey everyone, today I am going to show you how I edit my boudoir photos, specifically the skin, very quickly. I do that by using frequency separation and my clean workflow action. These are both available for free on my website at www.simplicityactionsandpresets.com. Again, that's www.simplicityactionsandpresets.com. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the frequency separation actions. There are two. The first one is 8-bit frequency separation and the second one is a 16-bit frequency separation. I use the 16-bit frequency separation because that is how I export my photos out of Lightroom. You can tell which one you need to use by coming up here to your description of your image, and it should have something that says RBG/16 or /8. If yours says 8, you will use the 8-bit frequency separation. If it says 16, you will use the 16-bit frequency separation. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is play the 16-bit frequency separation. And all this does is separate your high and low frequencies. So I'm going to select my high frequency layer first. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to correct just the few little blemishes I see on her face. So the way I'm going to do that is with my stamp tool. I'm going to select that and make sure you have current layer selected. And I'm just going to sample holding the Alt key and brush off the blemish. And you want to make sure you're sampling pretty close so the texture of the skin stays the same. That's going to be important. Let's see if there's anywhere else that needs attention and not. The next thing I'm going to do is select my low frequency layer, and with my lasso tool with a feather of 0, I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to select all the areas that I want to be smooth. Now, this is just the quick way to do things. So you can be more precise and do the spots one at a time. I just come in and do them all together because I find it's quicker, and I typically use about the same values for the blur. So I just want to make sure that I'm avoiding any of hard edges. But we can always mask the edges back if we need to. And I would say on average an image takes me anywhere from a minute to 3 minutes to edit using this method. With boudoir and having to edit skin very frequently, I had to come up with a method that I could execute very quickly just because 100 photos is a lot to edit. So I'm going to come up here after I make my selection to refine edge, and I'm going to feather in here. The reason I feather in here instead of just putting a feather on my selection tool is because sometimes the selections you're trying to make in this area, let's say, if I had a feather, it may not select the pixels because there may not be enough pixels. So I find this way easier. My feather is usually anywhere from 24 to 40 pixels. 29.4 looks good though. So after I've applied my feather, I'm going to come up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And this is going to be different for every photo as well. I usually stick anywhere from 17 to 26, depending on the photo. This photo I think is probably going to be good around 19 to 20. I'm just going to press OK on that, and I'm going to deselect using Command D. And then the only other spot I'm just going to come in here and correct is right here. There's just a little bit of red. So make the selection, come to Feather, and then Gaussian Blur. And I'm just going to use a little bit higher of a blur because it's in such a concentrated area. You're not going to really be able to tell, and you want that red to disperse. So about 41. And then back out so you can see the difference. I'm going to come onto my frequency separation mask, and I'm just going to color black onto her eyes. Make sure your mask is selected. Make sure your opacity is 100% on your brush. Make sure you're using a soft brush. So I always come into the eyes, eyebrows, mouth, and lips, and sometimes the hairline, just to make sure that sharpness is maintained. And then I'm going to turn this to about 80% opacity for the group. And you can see. Now the next thing I'm going to do is use my clean workflow. And this just brings back shadows, highlights, adds brightness, contrast. It's just an overall correcting action. Now you can see the before and after, and sometimes I would just leave it like that, but I'm probably going to come in and lower the brightness just a little bit, probably to about 20 or 15% opacity. And I'm going to zoom in and check the sharpness. So I'm probably just going to bring this down to about 50%. And there you go. You can see the before and after. And that's how I would quickly edit using frequency separation and my clean workflow action. Again, you can get this set for free by going to my website at www.simplicityactionsandpresets.com and subscribing to our email list. This includes a few of my favorite actions, as well as sharpening actions for Facebook. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope this will help you speed up your workflow with Boudoir. If you have any questions, you can email me at support@simplicityactionsandpresets.com. Again, that's support@simplicityactionsandpresets.com. Thanks for watching.